All right, I'll call this meeting of General Government and Finance Committee to order at 6:01. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call shows all trustees or all members present. And with that, we will move on to approval of minutes of March 20th, 2023.
Move approval.
I will second it.
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion or corrections? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. With that, we will move on to item 4, public comment. And with that, is there anyone here for public comment tonight? Didn't even take your coat off yet.
Not that warm.
Yeah, that's true. It's not warm.
You fix the microphones, you know, guys. Scott Heffley, W159 and 10514 Old Farm Road. You can walk to my house after the meeting. It's close by. Couple things, Baker Tilly impact fee study. I know we're looking into that and that's good, but I did see something in there about, I wasn't clear about what the drafting and review of ordinance. I think that's in the document, it has to be, but wouldn't want to be drafting any ordinances until it came back, reviewed by utility advisory and pushed forward to Public Works for further action. So just a point of notice by me, not a clarification needed. I see we're discussing the website. When I took the survey, I filled it out. It was very easy. So this is why I said earlier that the 2050 plan, I know it's unrelated, but why don't we ask that, you know, Survey Monkey is so easy. I mean, it costs nothing to do. We could learn more about it by doing that. So I thought the website survey was great. And I put some comments in that hopefully we can get it working more effectively because I know this committee brought it up. And then the last thing is separating finance and clerk areas, which I know you did as a result of unforeseen circumstances, but I think certainly Mr. Miller and some other people know that finance and clerk functions should be kept separate. And there's a reason for that. It's called checks and balances. So I'm happy to see that hopefully will be happening. I know that I brought it up a couple times in the past. So if we really move in that direction, it's going to help from transparency, in my opinion. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else here for public comment tonight? All right, if not, we will move on to new business. Item A, contract with Baker Tilly US LLP for water impact fee study.
So this is a contract that we took through the Utility Advisory Committee and the Public Works Committee. When we completed the last rate case for the water utility, it did not address impact fees. And I think that was one of the questions that came up at the time that was going forward is we should take a look at that. That is a separate rate case that would need to be looked at. And I did approach Baker Tilly, who did our analysis for the last water utility rate increase, and asked them to submit a quote on what it would cost to take a look at impact fees. And they provided an estimate between about $10,000 and $13,000. Which I think is a reasonable rate. We did not go out for an RFP for this because of their recent work on our overall water utility rates. I think that there's some advantages to the village to use Baker Tilly. They have a lot of familiarity with our water utilities finances and working with the PSC as we go through that process. So this particular contract, since it's under $15,000, only needs to go to committee. It does not need to go to full village board. There were some questions when we went through the committee process of, well, what if it costs more than $15,000? The policy is if we get invoices that go above $15,000, we can only pay up to $15,000, and then we need to go back and get approvals from the committee to exceed that. So we do monitor that, and if it looks like things are going to go above $15,000, we'll be back to the committee to request approval for that. So, and regarding the question on the ordinances, if the impact fees are set by ordinance, so it does include within the scope that if there are changes to the impact fees, that they would also draft the ordinances, which would come through the committee and then the village board for approval.
And this was discussed in the Utility Advisory Committee, and especially about sending it out for RFP or getting a quote from Baker Tilly. And that was the first option was, let's get a quote from Baker Tilly, see where it comes in. And if it's reasonable, we would most likely go with that. Is there a lot of carryover when it comes to, I know they just did our rate study for the water utility. Is there a lot of data that carries over, I would assume, to the impact fees as well?
For this, there is, and especially on the cost side, because when they're working with the PSC to set rates, and on the regular rates are separated out in different components, and there's different types of rates: the commercial, the residential, the industrial, and then for impact fees, they use a lot of the same data, and it's based on what our costs are. So they look at what the costs are for different types of equipment for operations, and then how that relates back to different customers. So a lot of the information that they already put together for the initial rate case can be reused for this impact fee study.
Okay. Committee. Yes, Trustee Nyrather.
Steve, do you think their commitment in here for 3 months is a reasonable, something they'll be able to do? I know they put some factors that can affect it, but
I think, barring any for unforeseen circumstances, I think they can complete their work within 3 months. I guess I kind of smirked when I said that, because the last time we started one of these processes, we got hit a few months later with COVID, and things were delayed significantly. But I think they can complete their work within 3 months. In order for them to start this process, we do need to finish all of our entries in it. They don't have to be audited for 2022, but they do need our revenue and expense numbers for 2022. And actually, I met with the interim finance director and our accountant this morning, and we talked about where we are in that process, and we're working feverishly to get that done. But it's really 3 months from when they get that data. But that 2022 data is going to be really important, because that has the first full year of the new rates for the water utility. I think once we get that to them, I think 3 months is a realistic time frame for them.
thank you.
Trustee Kaminsky.
When was the last time we did a study such as this?
For the water utility, the impact fees were last reviewed in 2010.
And what did we find there? Did we change anything significantly? Do you recall?
I don't
I don't recall.
I don't recall the specifics of it. I would also say that even if there's not much in changes, you may recall there was a claim recently regarding our impact and sewer connection fees. And, it is good to keep these up to date, to review them once in a while, make sure they're still accurate.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Committee, anything else? Yes, Trustee Myers.
How often should these things be done?
I think it depends on what's going on in the village. I think that, typically what I think communities will do when they review their impact fees is look at, are there some significant capital needs coming down the road? Or are there changes up in development patterns coming up? I think if there aren't major changes in those areas, probably once every 10 years is okay. But in a situation like the village, where we've had a lot of development recently, and we've built the new water tower and a new well, I think it's probably appropriate to do that a little bit more often. I would say if some of the current trends continue, and I don't know if they will or not, but maybe every 5 years would be a little bit more appropriate.
Thank you, Steve.
That makes sense. I mean, any fee that's 10 years or older, I would have hoped that we review it or do some type of study. With that, committee, I would need a recommendation, or I'm sorry, not a recommendation. We can motion to approve.
I would move to award the contract with Baker Tilly for the water impact fee study and details per the February 17th of 2023 letter.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion. Is there any further discussion on this topic?
We need to put that 15,000 in there.
I think that since the policy that's in place sets the limit at $15,000, I don't think the committee needs to add that on top of that.
Thank you.
If it does go above, if there's some unforeseen circumstance, then it would have to be considered. Does that go to the village board then because it's over 15,000?
If it would go over 15,000, it would have to go to the village board.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. All right, with that, we'll move on to item B, website redesign discussion.
Hi, how's everybody doing today?
Old.
So, the website redesign. Today, we're going to be talking about website utilization, survey results, redesign process, and the next steps for this website design. So first and foremost, starting in 2022, I set up Google Analytics at the end of 2021 so that it would get all of the information from 2022. In 2022 alone, we had 601,635 users that have accessed our website in 677,989 sessions with an average of viewing 1.61 pages per session and spending an average of 1 minute and 30 seconds on each page. So this is what Google Analytics has told us. There's more results that I'm going to be reviewing with our website design or website representative, but that's just some basic information about who and what and how many times people view our website. So we had a survey that went that was accessible from March 17th to April 12th. It was posted on our website, reached 2,100 people on Facebook, 22 people on Instagram. We sent it out directly. It was in our quarterly newsletter and was sent directly by email to 222 individuals. It was in 6,000 utility bills, and it was also on Channel 25. So I put the results within the packet, so I'm just going to highlight over some of the areas that I found were important. We had 137 residents who responded. Most of the residents only viewed our website once a month or less. They rated the design of our front page 3.45 stars. 72 people rated it either a 4 or a 5 star. 23 people rated it a 1 or a 2, and 44 rated it a 3 at a 3. 63% said that the search bar made it easy to find information, but only 15% wanted to be notified about community changes from the website. We also only 24% were signed up for the quarterly newsletter. However, 59% wanted to be notified by either email or newsletter. And then 68% indicated that at least one difficult that they've had at least one difficult experience. And then 48% indicated it was difficult because or how to determine which department to find the information that they wanted. So these were just some of the things that I got out of this. You know, many other people might get other things, but I will be reviewing this more just to make sure that I've gotten the information. There were a lot of really good comments that came with this this survey. So going further down the timeline, so the last redesign was done in 2021. So they started putting together the evaluation process in 2020 to determine what design changes were going to be made in 2021. So now in 2023, we're doing some more evaluations to make sure that what we put or what we redesign in 2024 is what is needed. I'm going to put together a team of people, a team of employees to review some of these results and go through, talk to our support or service success manager with Civic Plus to determine what is needed. In 2024 or early 2025, that's when the redesign process would start, and then it would take about 6 months. So I also, on the next slide, these are the phases from the last redesign. I reviewed them with our current success manager, and she said that they're pretty much the same. So these are the phases that we would go through, and the new designed website would then be available June, July of 2025. Do I have any questions so far on anything?
Trustee Nyberg?
Just one. Aaron, can you go back a couple screens where, was it 68% said one, the person had one difficult experience?
At least one, yeah.
At least one.
At least one.
That
Yep.
definitely has to show a concern though, doesn't it? That, you know, what we have out there is not that it's bad, but when you have 68%, that definitely shows the reason why you're doing this.
Yep. And the one thing I didn't measure within that question is how difficult was the experience?
Exactly.
Was it just that it took more than a couple clicks to, you know, get to where you wanted to go? I mean, that could vary quite a bit too. So
Right.
just because it was a difficult experience doesn't mean how difficult was the experience. But yes, I agree. I mean, we don't want, you know, that's where some of the comments came into play, where if it was, you know, too much clicks, that the front was too cluttered looking, that they were having, you know, I had my husband review the website as well. And the first thing he said is, well, if I don't work for government, I don't know that like for a dog license, I have to go to the clerk's department. So, you know, so he made a good point where, you know, many
More
people.
by subject and less by,
Yeah, exactly. So I've been reviewing some websites, and there are some other websites that use the same Civic Plus product that do it in a different way like that. Instead of by department, it's more by need of the individual. So, you know, so there will be some things that I can show you that make it a little more easy for just the average person to, you know, figure out where they're going.
Aaron, the 2-year timeline really for this seems a bit long. Is there a reason that it would take that long?
So with our Civic Plus account, we get a redesign every 48 months. So that's every 4 years. So we just had our last one in 2021, and that's why the next one would be mid-year 2025.
Okay.
Is there any way to change that?
Pay for it.
How much? I can't believe that the same people, me being one of them, go online and you can never find anything. I should be able to find stuff, you know?
Well, and this is just, keep in mind too, this is just for a redesign. This does not necessarily mean that I can't, I mean, there's a lot of things I can
You
do.
make adjustments.
And
yeah.
I can make adjustments, right? So if there's things that we want to adjust, but if we want to make a complete redesign, that's the 48 months. So that's like color,
Yeah, different
you know,
layout,
if
different-
we want different pictures, if we don't want, you know, one person commented on the search bar being in the middle, if we don't want that there, I can't really move that. I don't know to that extent, but for some things, I can make that change. And so,
Make search work. If somebody puts in something, you don't get 30 trivial things that you really don't care about. That's what I'm looking for. That's what,
So
when
th-
people go to a website, that's what they want. They want the search to really work. And it's very frustrating when it doesn't.
well, and I think the things to do that is really to remove things that no longer have to be on there. So if we have things from like 2007, maybe they don't need to be on our website. You know, maybe those are things that if somebody really wants that information, then they can reach out to the
Oh, sure.
village employees.
Because it's gonna
But
search
if
everything.
but if we reduce some of that stuff, then I think that would make it easier.
So you can do that internally.
Yeah, yes, I can delete documents from our website. But, but with the search bar, like to direct where it goes when you search for certain things, I can't do that. It's more just user knowledge of, you know, instead of putting in this word, let's put this word in this word and, you know, it'll help me find it better. So it's, yeah, unfortunately, but decluttering what's on the back end. I mean, we have meeting minutes on there from like the last 15 years, you know, so like maybe 15 years is an exaggeration, but we have a lot of meeting minutes on our website. And so, you know, taking some of that off. And so there's.
Yeah,
not
let
just-
us know what you take off, because I was researching something 2 weeks ago and I had to go back 5 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't just
Right,
say,
right.
this
No.
is the cutoff, because
Yeah.
it gives all of us opportunity to find things that
Mhm.
might have happened.
Well, and we are responsible for keeping those documents
Yeah.
too. So I mean, we will always have those here at Village Hall. But maybe they don't need to be on the website.
So it'd be reasonable to say that you will be making adjustments. It isn't like gonna be status quo for the next 2 years on this
No,
site. There
no.
will be adjustments being made, probably from this survey somewhat, if there's some good suggestions in there that you can do.
Yep.
In the
Like the
inter-
redesign of the front page, I won't really be able to do that, but there will be some things that I can take from this and do. And just so you know too, we do have the Moncito product, which also it gives me a report like every 2 weeks where if it finds broken links or misspelled words or things that, you know, they think need to be changed, it does give me a report on that so that I can go in then and reach out to the different departments and say, hey, there's a broken link on your site or things like that. So we do those things. I mean, I'm on there probably 20 times every week. So
Sure.
doing different things to make sure that things are better. But
Yes, Steve.
I just wanted to add on the discussion on the search engine and the data that's out there on the system, which I think causes a lot of the issues, is we can absolutely start that process. It is a fairly labor-intensive process, and I also think for a lot of what we're doing, to Trustee Kaminsky's comments, we need to go through several steps with it. We can't just go in and say, all right, everything that's more than 3 years old or 5 years old, we're just going to delete. So I kind of want to manage expectations on that a bit as well, because it's not only Aaron who needs to do that, but it's each one of the departments, and, you know, with other workload, with the implementation of the financial system, which they're
Mhm.
all involved with as well. It does take some time to get through all of that. So I just want to point that out, that we can start right away and we can continue to work through it and chip away, but it will take some time before I think there's probably visible results on what people are getting out of the search engine.
And a lot of it too is just user knowledge, you know, so I have been working with employees, you know, to better understand how to manage their portions of the website. And I have talked about, you know, when you're replacing a document, make sure to delete the other document, you know, so it's not constantly there because that document doesn't need to be there anymore. So, you know, just having those conversations too will help to eliminate some of that. But it's just little pieces at a time. But you're right, to do overall big, you know, removals of things, that's going to take a lot more
Yeah.
time. So, and I just have this last page because, so right now we have Civic Engage and Civic Clerk. Those are the two we have. Civic Clerk will be going live May 1st. And I will be sending out information from our website and different social media platforms as well about the change of how our agendas will be looking. It's not really the agenda itself, but just the layout of the page that it's going to be on. So that's going to be changing shortly, and that's going to make it easier and more streamlined process.
Uniform.
Yeah, more uniform process. So, but yeah, so
Yeah, Terry?
yes.
Just two quick comments, like I just searched dog license. And we have like many pages, many, up to 108. for-
But that's wherever it's anything, any document, any page that word goes on. So it's,
But first thing should be my application. Would you agree?
if you put dog license application, yes.
Okay, so just dog licensing, you have to think about putting application. Yeah, that's goofy. But anyway, I guess my other comment is about survey. Was it Survey Monkey? You use it too? Because I know I've used it. It's great for some things. I've used it a lot for publicity in the past, and it's great for this, but 137 or 139 people out of, what, 20,000 people who live here is like way less than 1%.
Right.
Way less. And I do not ever want that small percentage of people driving what we do in this community. And that goes for whether we're talking about 2050 plan or anything else. All it does is it gives you a snapshot of what a few interested people think
Mhm.
on that given day when they happen to, hey, I think I'll do this. I got nothing else to do. I'm sitting in the car waiting for my kid to get out of a game, But anyway, just a comment.
But I think we made it available at
Yeah, I
many
mean,
different.
it was on a lot of platforms and
And you do have some good comments from people.
Mhm.
committee, anything else? All right, thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome.
Item C, interim clerk, interim finance director and accountant positions. Steve, I got a question about this one. Do we have to go into closed session for this?
This was one, I thought that before we get into the discussion on the organization, that might be helpful for the committee to learn a little bit more about the performance of the people who have been involved so that you have that information as you make your decision. So we did notice this, so you can go into closed session and I can provide you an update on that.
Okay, and that should be before item D? Is that what
I
you're
would
saying?
suggest before item D.
All right, sounds good. So I will read item C again, interim clerk, interim finance director, and accountant positions. One correction, the General Government and Finance Committee may enter into closed session per Wisconsin statute 19.85, subparagraph 1, subparagraph C, for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and then re-enter open session to take such action as it deems necessary. I need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
We have a motion to go into closed session with the committee and Administrator Krecklo. Anyone else?
Actually, I'd suggest the village attorney since he's here.
All right, and the village attorney. Everyone else, we ask you to vacate the room for a few minutes while we discuss, and we will come back into open session because we still have open items. With that, before we go into closed session, we have to vote.
Roll call.
We got to do a roll call?
That's what you gotta do.
Okay. We need to do a roll call vote on this?
Trustee Myers,
Yes.
Trustee Nyrather,
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky, Trustee Rick Miller.
Aye. Right. Motion carries. We will go into closed session as soon as we're ready. Yeah, mic's off. Thank you. Mic's off.